If you're a fan of Sonic and his games and you don't know who these guys are, then this video is for you. There's a chance that Sega will make these characters show up in the next game with little to no explanation about who they are and where they come from. That's why I'm making this video, to educate you all who is curious about these new Sonic comic exclusive characters. Since it started, it seemed like the comics were doing their own thing and not following the game's canon past Sonic Forces, which was fine, but the writing was so much better than what we were getting in the 2010s era, also known as the meta era. It made us wish we'd get this style of writing in the games, which at the time everyone was, and still is, tired of the meta humor style. Especially right after Sonic Forces, which was supposed to be this epic, serious war story, but instead we still ended up with the same Saturday morning cartoon style of writing.
See, Infinite? Now we're getting to know each other. So, what's your favorite color? Do you like long romantic walks on the beach? What's the source of your power? You can skip the first two questions if you like.
We were tired of it. It's one of the main reasons IDW gets a lot of praise. They understand how to write every character in the series. Almost. People thought about how it would be great to have the writers of the comics work on the games, which we all know that has happened with Sonic Frontiers. The game came out and it's the best thing we've gotten in a long time. Better than what we got in Colors, Generations, Lost World, Sonic Boom games, and Sonic Forces. Sonic Boom TV show was good though, for what it's trying to be.
Is this a towel?
What am I supposed to cover with that? Are you making fun of me?
So yes, Sonic Frontiers is released, and we noticed that the game was name dropping a lot of stuff from Sonic's past. Even stuff that we thought weren't canon, such as the Babylonians. The Sonic Riders series always felt like they were their own thing in their own little universe or timeline or whatever, but nope. You got a name drop in the main timeline, so it's now canon in the main timeline. That's what Sega's trying to do. It's one singular timeline. Shit, even Team Sonic Racing is canon. They name dropped Dodonpaw, I don't know. However, the main thing I'm focusing on is when Sonic name drops a certain character.
I bet Tangle would love climbing around these ruins.
Sonic name drops Tangle. Just a cool reference? Or was it a confirmation that the IDW series is canon? We didn't know. But of course, months will pass by and the main writer, Ian Flynn, would confirm that the IDW series is canon to the games. And it's confirmed that everything that has happened so far in the comics is all before Sonic Frontiers. Because if Sonic knew who Tangle was in Frontiers, and there's no Frontiers related stuff in IDW yet, then it only makes sense that Frontiers is way ahead of the comic series. And even Flynn confirmed it himself too, so yeah. And that's why I'm here, making this video to give people an easy access to learn who the hell these guys are. This video will get you up to speed on all of the new IDW Sonic characters so far. And I say so far because it is still an ongoing series, and new characters could still show up after I post this video. So how about we finally finish this intro and get started with the video now. Let's jump into our first character. Tangle the Lemur. Her main feature, of course, is her long stretchy tail. It almost acts as a third arm. She can grab whatever or whoever she likes with it. Her tail is also really good for restraining any bad guys that needs to be temporarily put down, with her tail being able to stretch for God knows how long. With that length, she can restrain many foes, small or big, but it all depends on how strong they are too. I can't imagine her being able to restrain a big brute like Zavos. She's a very likable character. She quickly became a fan favorite for many as she's energetic, uplifting, and every panel she's in, it's just nothing but positive vibes from her. Even at the darkest times, you can count on her still being the beacon of positivity. After meeting Sonic and getting roped into some adventures with him, she quickly became a competent hero. We don't know much about her origin, but it seemed like before meeting Sonic, she was still a capable fighter. We even see her in action when she was first introduced. It's only after her first big adventure with Sonic that made her want to explore more of the world and go on bigger adventures, protecting anyone in need. One flaw that hasn't been explored much is that she's claustrophobic. During a miniseries, she gets locked up in a safe, and right away, she begins to freak out. With her energetic and all over the place personality, it kinda makes sense for her to hate being trapped in a small space. Even wearing a mask gets her nervous a bit, only because this was right after being locked in a safe, but still, it's a mask. This fear runs deep within her, and I feel like we will eventually explore this more one day. Like I said before, we don't know much about her origins, so maybe there's some hidden trauma that we just don't know about yet. I believe another one of her flaws is being too confident and too quick to act on a situation. She's the type to leap without looking, and that of course can lead to some problems. While Sonic is almost the same, he's more experienced and has the power and speed to sort of back up his brash approaches. And you know, he's the main fucking character. But with Tangle, I don't think so. But for the most part, she's been a great asset for the Resistance, helping Sonic and others whenever they are needed and quickly solidify herself as part of the gang. Just another inspiring hero ready to take on any challenge with her friends, even forming a new team called the Diamond Cutters, with a wolf and a sheep. And man, do we got a lot about to say about her wolf friend, teammate, best friend, girlfriend. Let's get into that. Trauma the wolf, Whisper the wolf. Where do I begin with her? Because I feel like with every arc, this girl is just crying left and right. Tangle turns into a Zombot, she's crying. Someone steals her Wisp, she's crying. And the artists really want to sell you during her lowest of low moments in the series. Look at all the detail of her going ape shit for Tangle. In the same arc, Cream the Rabbit lost her mother, her mom, and she didn't get this ape shit detail of her crying over her mother. When Tangle gets into a Zombot, Whisper is devastated. But let me be fair now, because Whisper's explosive emotions doesn't come from nowhere. During the Sonic Forces War, Whisper was in a team of 5 called the Diamond Cutters. First we have Smithy the Crafter, Slinger the Marksman, Clairvoyance the Psyop, interesting name, Whisper the Scout, and Mimic the Infiltrator. They were an anti-Eggman mercenary group, tackling the most dangerous missions. They were pretty much unstoppable because they worked so well as a team. They were pretty much family to one another. At least that's what Whisper thought. On their last mission together, Whisper stayed outside the base to scout while the other 4 go inside the base. Mimic leaves the group to make sure everything is clear, but as soon as he leaves, the Shadow Androids wakes up and swarms Smithy, Claire, and Slinger, killing all 3 of them. Whisper saw everything. The mask that they all wear is all connected so they can view each other's point of view. It was a way for them to properly coordinate, study missions, improve, working as one unstoppable unit. Whisper saw the deaths of her teammates, and she saw the traitor, Mimic the Infiltrator. Whisper hid until it was clear, came back for the Wisp and Smitty's prototype Wispin, and she carried on, all alone. Devastated about the death of her teammates and also shocked about the betrayal, all she cared about was getting revenge on Mimic. This event put her on a path to work alone, trust no one other than her Wisp. When she was introduced, she always hid in the shadows, helping from a distance, never interacting with anyone. During the Sonic Forces War, when Sonic was held up for 6 months, everyone would start calling Whisper the Guardian Angel, saving many people, including Silver, from certain defeats. Silver looked up to Whisper and was eager to work with her when he finally meets the Lone Wolf. Of course, when meeting Sonic and the others, she becomes more open to helping the gang out to defeat Eggman, and during their adventures, Tangle and Whisper quickly became close friends. As I mentioned before, Tangle is the hyperactive extrovert, while Whisper is a quiet, shy introvert. Many times in the beginning, Whisper would push Tangle away emotionally and physically, cause you know, social distancing. But as time goes on, she gets more comfortable around Tangle, especially when Whisper tells Tangle why she is the way she is. When I explain what happened to Whisper's teammates, that's when Tangle was learning everything about the Diamond Cutters, when both of them were after Mimic. After Whisper trauma dumped on Tangle, even though Tangle asked for it, it was a lot to take in. But Tangle quickly wiped away the tears, took a breather, and was like, alright, let's go kick some ass. She was quick to let Whisper know that this can't go on any longer because her friend is hurting and needs a friend to be there for her, and Tangle is offering to be that friend, whether Whisper likes it or not. Tangle says, too bad, you're gonna be my friend and I'm gonna be there for you no matter what. And Whisper accepts her aid, only because Tangle was the first friend she allowed herself to have since the betrayal. Now that Whisper had someone to finally open up to about her situation, she, for the first time in a long time, she doesn't feel alone, and she opens up her arms and gives Tangle a big ol' hug and thanks her new friend. It was a long overdue talk for Whisper, but that's what happens when you stay alone and let the emotions build up inside. Mimic was in her head and Tangle sees that, so there is no way she was gonna let Whisper handle this alone. Tangle and Whisper are finishing this together. When Tangle and Whisper catches Mimic, Whisper was quick to draw the gun to his head and take him out. But Tangle would not make her do that, as that isn't the proper solution to her problem. So they sent him to Tails, who sent him to prison to get locked up. Whisper finally felt like she had closure with her beef against Mimic, and it was all because of the aid of her new friend, Tangle. Tangle and Whisper became even closer after dealing with Mimic, and you can see why Whisper acted the way she did when she found out Tangle was turned into a zombot. Whisper had another moment of almost going for the kill when she had her sights at Eggman, blaming him for the loss of her best friend. Cream would step in front of her and convince her to yield, but obviously Whisper doesn't like it. But she agrees with Cream because they actually needed Eggman at that moment. Fast forward to another arc. Whisper gets into a scuffle with another new character being Surge, and at one point Surge ends up absorbing all of her wisps. And yeah, Whisper starts crying, but I guess trauma will do that to people, so that's just how it is. Whisper sees Surge and Kit as enemies, so when we fast forward to present day with Surge and Kit suddenly coming to Restoration HQ asking to join the Resistance because they turn over a new leaf, Whisper calls BS. Most of the members, Sonic included, are gonna give them a chance, and Whisper hates that idea, and unfortunately for her, she's outnumbered by everyone, so the both of them get to stay. Whisper doesn't fight them for it, but she's gonna keep a watchful eye on the pair. Who she really needs to watch is this guy, Duo. Duo is Mimic. Let's talk about him now. So Mimic the Octopus, the Infiltrator, the Betrayer, he is just nothing but trouble, and being able to shapeshift is a huge power that he holds, but of course that power has some limits. At least I think they're limits. So look at this, right? Sonic here looks off, right? His eyes, he has these suction thingies on his gloves, and right away you can just tell that's not him, right? But do the characters notice those differences? Because if I remember, not a single character can tell if he's Mimic, only when he reveals his real eyes. Either way, that's the only little thing I'm unsure about Mimic's powers. So why did Mimic betray the Diamond Cutters? It's not that deep, bro. You just wanted to reap the rewards and survive. That's all. When things started to get too dangerous for the team and saw that Eggman was getting more control over the world, it was easy for Mimic to switch sides and do Eggman a favor by setting up the Diamond Cutters into a trap and just be killed off. Except Whisper wasn't killed off, and Eggman didn't like that. Mimic didn't do his part, and Eggman made sure that he will send Metal Sonic out and come for Mimic if he doesn't finish the job, which makes sense why Mimic is just hell-bent on finishing Whisper. So he's always hunting Whisper, and Whisper is always hunting Mimic. So yeah, that's how they're doing their little thing after the betrayal. And then both Tangle and Whisper beating Mimic and sending him to prison. Sadly though, he escapes with the help of Dr. Starline. Him and a bunch of other baddies go through a whole adventure together, and at the end, Mimic gets his data erased from Eggman's computer, and he's free to live however he wants without Eggman keeping tabs on him. Honestly, it don't even feel like Eggman is constantly pursuing Mimic. But I guess whenever Eggman sees Whisper with Sonic in the gang, he immediately thinks of Mimic, so I don't know, maybe he should be worried. Present day now, Mimic has been working with a sneaky opossum named Clutch, who has the idea of taking over the Restoration HQ. At first, Mimic wasn't down for the job because he was keeping a low profile after breaking out of jail, but as soon as Clutch told Mimic about Tangle and Whisper's new team at the Restoration HQ and calling themselves the Diamond Cutters, Mimic was in on the plan. This sorta ticked him off, as he can tell by this panel when he hears about the new Diamond Cutters. Is it jealousy? Who knows, but Mimic is now down for this hostile takeover. So Mimic shapeshifts into some random guy and calls himself Duo. He goes to Restoration HQ to join the Resistance and even join the Diamond Cutters group with Tangle, Whisper, and this sheep character named Lanolin. Lanolin. Need to get used to saying that. Mimic almost blew his cover when the Diamond Cutters, and Silver went to Green Hill Zone for a training session. First he kicked Silver while he was holding huge boulders, which made him lose control and drop the boulders towards the girls. And then moments later, Silver and Mimic gets caught in the Robofish's mouth, but Silver was struggling to keep its mouth open, so Mimic saw this as an opportunity to ditch him, which he did, and he revealed his eyes to him just before the fish trapped Silver in. But of course Silver ain't going out like that. Just a second, but why is IDW making Silver look so weak, man? This guy is strong. I still can't believe they had his ass bent over for an egg pun, claiming that his life was on the line until Whisper saved him. Man, get the fuck out of here. Silver can hang with Sonic and Shadow. This guy's a hedgehog, he's tough, man. I don't care if his ass got beaten up by somebody else and then the eggplant was about to finish him off. No, he's not that weak, man. Stop making him look weak. He's strong. So Silver gets out and calls out Duo right away, but Lanolin comes in and defends him and tells Silver not to point fingers and to control his powers better, because from their point of view, it looked like Silver was just being careless with the rocks and caused all of this ruckus and put everyone in danger. Whisper was the only one to believe Silver because she saw Duo kick him, which she told him about the kick, which led to Silver telling her about the eyes, and Whisper knew right away that it was Mimic. She told her story to Silver and they both planned to expose him and catch him in the act, but things doesn't go so well. They spied on Duo, tried to make him trip, tried to confront him directly again, and it turned into a whole thing. It got real messy real quick. Lanolin and Whisper were fighting and Silver went after Mimic, but it led to Silver looking like he's attacking a poor innocent member of the group, and Mimic purposely injures himself to make Silver look really bad. Whisper didn't believe Mimic would go this far to trick her, and she's now second guessing her judgment towards Duo, which doesn't make sense because she saw him kick Silver, and Silver mentions the eyes. It all lines up. He is Mimic, but she just gets all emotional and is ready to burst into tears, but her new bae comes and comforts her. So Mimic is off the hook for now, and his plan with Clutch is still underway. Definitely a perfect storm for him as he was so close to getting caught. But that's about it for Mimic. We didn't see him too much as he's only been in 2 miniseries, and he's now making his debut in the main issues. But the few times we have seen him, we already know just how much trouble this guy can cause. He definitely likes to work alone, but he's willing to work with others as long as to its benefit. Just like with the original Diamond Cutters, just like the bad guys he worked with to escape from prison, and probably with Clutch now, as he's only in on it just to get revenge on Whisper. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole plot plays out, because he will eventually betray Clutch. Let's move over to 2 characters who don't need much explanation. Ruff and Tumble. These guys are just dumb bad brutes who just like to cause trouble. They can be a problem for regular folks, but for Sonic and the gang, they're no problem other than just being annoying. So far, they worked with every villain in the comic, Eggman, Starline, and now Clutch. They're usually more interesting when working for another, but when they're causing trouble by their own means, there's just nothing much to it. Tumble is the big strong one who lost his tail, which he always mourns over with constantly. He gets jealous when he sees other folks with cool long tails, and sometimes has a mental breakdown. Poor guy, he really just wants a new tail. And then you have Ruff, who is more nimble and fast. He even has a ball form like Sonic and the others, and he even acts like a skunk and sprays foes with his so-called stink bomber. I think Tumble can do it too, but I only remember seeing Ruff doing it, so I don't know. They're both skunks, so I wouldn't be surprised if the other could do it. Even though they work well together, it's usually never enough to overcome the heroes. They come, they fight, they lose, they recover, rinse and repeat. A thing they like to do is put up a rhyme with their names to introduce themselves. They get mocked over constantly because it's corny and they don't properly rhyme sometimes. But yeah, that's really it for Ruff and Tumble. Just a bunch of dummies who like to cause trouble every now and then. These guys ain't so tough. Every mission they sure to fumble. I'm now done talking about Ruff and Tumble. Now let's move on to this guy, this gentleman, zesty ass character, the guy who talks in a way like he's playing a role in Shakespeare. Dr. Starline, a brilliant scientist who looks up to Dr. Eggman. You can say he was a huge fanboy. His mind is almost as great as Eggman, as he was able to achieve big things within the series before he kicked the bucket. Yeah, as of right now, Dr. Starline is dead, so what's the point of putting him in the video? If he's dead, he can't show up, right? Wrong. Like I said, he achieved big things during his time in the series. Achievements that are still affecting the current story in this series. What has he done? Well, after the Forces War, Dr. Eggman lost his memory and Starline found him and brought his memory back as an evil genius, putting away his Mr. Tinker persona. He made it his mission to get him back in the game so that he can live the dream of being Eggman's right-hand man. But eventually, Starline would find out that his goat is washed and start to realize that he just has tunnel vision on beating Sonic. Sure, he would think his master plans are brilliant, but actually finishing the job was always very sluggish to Starline. He concluded that Eggman is just caught in a Sonic cycle. Interesting name, writers. He meets his hero, and not too long after, he starts plotting against him. Eggman can just never work with anybody. Starline tried to bring his own idea to fix Eggman's metal virus mess, which fails miserably. It was so bad that Eggman just straight up fired him. Starline tried to portal away, but Eggman took his warp topaz and just threw him to wherever that portal led to. Oh yeah, the warp topaz. Well, throughout his runtime, Starline will always use some sort of tech ability to aid in whatever scheme he's up to. First, he had the warp topaz, a gem that can create gateway portals to wherever he wants. This would be the gem Eggman takes from Starline after firing him. Then, Supersonic and Super Silver would use the gem to erase the metal virus from the world, but it can't handle being supercharged by the emeralds, so it just exploded when it took too much power. Then, you have the Tricore. If you played Sonic Heroes, then you might remember what a power core is. There are 3 types: speed, power, and fly. They basically enhance your specific abilities once you get a hold of the cores. You get speed, you run faster. You get power, you're stronger. You get fly, you fly. With all 3 types and his Tricore device, this allows him to have access to all 3 cores whenever he chooses, and this has been a huge upgrade for him in battles, as he's able to directly compete with some of the heroes, even besting Shadow at one point. And then you have his Hypnotize glove. He can hypnotize people and make them do whatever he wants them to do. It will be the very thing to warp the 2 minds of 2 special characters, being Surge and Kit. After being fired from Eggman, Starline has clearly lost his mind, like, look at him, his brother is gone. But either way, this put him on a path to not only show he's capable of matching with Eggman, but he's able to surpass Eggman. He wants to show Eggman that he's the better genius, and then this would be his plan. His big plan to take over the world and all that is to create Surge and Kit, 2 characters to rival both Sonic and Tails. But we'll talk about them in a sec. We'll just finish up Starline's arc real quick. Starline has a face-off against Dr. Eggman. They both pilot old Eggman tech. Eggman controlling the Egg Emperor from Sonic Heroes, and Starline controlling the final boss robot from Sonic Lost World. I don't remember the name of it, if it had one, that is. Eggman tricks Starline to use up his Tricore energy, which leaves Starline defenseless. Starline tried pulling 2 fast ones on him, but Eggman was obviously ready. Hypnotize glove, Eggman got the goggles. A sweeping kick, Eggman simply weaved, grabbed his leg, and rocked his shit. Dr. Eggman does not play. No, Dr. Robotnik. He earned that for sure. Holy shit. He was in disbelief, calling himself an utter failure, a disgrace. He was so down bad that he didn't even bother escaping when the whole place was falling apart. Soon after, Starline was gone, and as of right now, our platypus has kicked the bucket. He is dead, still dead. But you never know. We don't actually see him die, it's just implied that he died. If they really want him back, they can just bring him back easily. Issue 70 has teased a Phantom Racer, and that Phantom Racer could very well be Starline. Who knows, man? Who knows? So we move on to Surge and Kit. As explained before, the enhanced duo were made for combat to fight off Sonic and the gang, but also overthrow Eggman 2, which they were gonna do first, then take over the world and everything else. What I didn't mention before was that Surge and Kit were designed to directly combat against Sonic and Tails. Surge for her electrifying speed to go against Sonic, and Kit with his drippy tentacle tails to go against Tails. Starline pretty much scrambled their brains, made them forget what their past lives were like. They have no memory of anything. All they desire is to beat Sonic. Well, Surge's desire is to beat Sonic, while Kit's desire is to follow Surge and be there for Surge no matter what. So whatever Surge wants, Kit is hard-coded to just do whatever she pleases. And this creates an over-obsession for Kit, always being worried for Surge whenever she's not around or when she's losing in battle. Just from the few issues we've seen, I feel like Kit has like a demon side of him if things goes wrong for Surge. We've seen him have these glowy red eyes when he's pissed, but we haven't seen him go all out yet. He gets aggressive still, but nothing crazy. But I feel like they're gonna make him go on like demon time later on. I can feel it. He's scary, man. Have you seen this look? Hell no. And his power is controlling water too? He meets Tails and says it will take 40 seconds with 118 milliliters of liquid to drown. What the fuck? Dude says you're my target and then follows up with that line? Bro, Little bro is unhinged. He's emotionally not there and he breaks down easy when things don't make sense, but he will sorta snap back to protecting Surge every time. He's pretty much just a lost child without her. And as for Surge, man, talking about a crazy bitch here. She's definitely a somebody. Loud and wild, likes to talk shit and beat her foes violently, but she's also not mentally there as well, as her brain is also scrambled. So scrambled that she even questions her own existence. Both of them actually. Both of them start questioning, why are they here? Why are we here? They start to wonder, why? They're doing all this stuff, but they can never answer why. Why do they want to do this? Why does Surge want to destroy Sonic? Why does Kit want to follow and protect Surge? They can never know why. Things were just not adding up, but they were quick to blame Starline. Eventually, they end up finding Starline's video vlogs about the whole project with Surge and Kit, showing how he created them, how he hypnotized them, how he weaponized them, everything. And it seems this is not the first time they actually watch his vlogs, because Starlight comes in and finds them watching the vlogs and he's chill, only because he knows he can just hypnotize them again and make them forget about everything that they saw. But this time now, this is where they get the jump on him and take his glove and hypnotize him to sleep. They could have destroyed him right there, but they decided to keep him because his plan has everyone coming together in one location. Sonic, Tails, Eggman, and Starline himself. They decided that they'll just destroy everyone and end everyone's lives and end the constant wars between both parties. If they get no pass, why should anyone get a future? When they both meet their targets, they waste no time. Kit has his eyes for Tails, and we know he's hoping it won't take more than 40 seconds. And then you have Surge going after Sonic, and right away, she goes on a tangent about everything being Sonic's fault. He's the reason why Eggman keeps coming back. He's the reason why Surge and Kit are the way they are right now. Not killing Eggman for all of his wrongdoings is stupid on Sonic's part. Sonic's like, wait,
who are you?
And then they fight and argue, and their argument is mostly Sonic saying, freedom is right there! And Surge is saying, kill your enemies! Fuck freedom! And it just keeps going until Surge falls into a ditch. She fights Sonic a couple times and she loses both, but the second time she was actually pretty close as she went full power, shocking Sonic in the water with her electricity. But she went too hard. She short-circuited and knocked herself out, all because of the gizmo she was wearing. This gizmo is actually called the Dynamo Cage, which Surge finds in Eggman's lab, but it's been told that the Dynamo Cage cannot handle so much power. But Surge doesn't care. Of course she doesn't care. She wants all the power that she can get, especially after when she finds out that Sonic and Eggman were actually working together to stop her. She actually had a little mental breakdown, thinking she's never enough to beat both of them, no matter how much power she absorbs. This Dynamo Cage was actually making her hallucinate Starline. It showed that Starline was still kinda in her head. At first I thought she was just hallucinating by herself, like it wasn't a Dynamo Cage, but I noticed that Starline's hallucination only showed up when she started wearing the Dynamo Cage. So yeah, when she picked up this item, it was pretty much downhill for her. And I forget to mention that's how she was able to absorb Whisper's Wisp. Use the Dynamo Cage to absorb them. Anytime Whisper attacks Surge, the Wisp just gets absorbed into her cage, and the Wisp couldn't help it too. They were sucked into it no matter what, and she managed to absorb all of Whisper's wisps, which is why she was all colorful during this fight with Sonic. But of course, when she had all those wisps, that's when the Dynamo Cage gave up and just short-circuited, exploded or whatever, and knocked Surge out. And then Kit came and saw Surge knocked out, thinking it was Sonic and Tails' fault, and Eggman too. So he takes her away and escapes the place while crumbling everything in his path, hoping that it would bury Sonic, Tails, Eggman, and Metal Sonic. But it seems that every time they have a setback, they always come back, and here we are at present day, and we're back at the restoration. And you know the deal, if you've been following along, Surge and Kit are here, joining the resistance as good guys. Well, we all know what's up. They're there to internally take down the whole restoration with the help of Mimic as Duo and the guy pulling all the strings with this hostile takeover, Clutch the Opossum. Clutch mentions to Surge and Kit that he knew Starline because Starline was one of his buyers, and Clutch would learn about the process of their creation. If they help Clutch, he's willing to share everything he knows about them, how Starline made him, or maybe even their past lives. And this was an easy choice for them because they can destroy Sonic and the Restoration HQ, they were running out of food and supplies at their original base, and they might just find out about their past lives before Starline kidnapped them. And so they go to the front door and just say, hey, we want to be good guys now. She knows that Sonic will allow it, but she also knows how everyone else will react about her joining the restoration. And when they do show up, the tension is so strong. This image alone says it all. Surge is enjoying it as she taunts at Sonic for it, challenging his beliefs on giving bad guys a chance, such as herself. Or maybe she might even reconsider being bad. It's a possibility that they go against Clutch, as they might hang around the good guys long enough to make them reconsider their evil plans. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. If you look at the next few issues cover art, you can see it's going to be Sonic Riders Focus and Surge and Kit are part of the covers. And you can see they're probably going to have a good time shredding the tracks with their extreme gear. So we're definitely going to be seeing more of these two troublemakers. Next character is Jewel the Beetle. She has just been a supportive type character, taking part on more of the filler side of things, which makes sense because she's not the fighter type. She's a behind the scenes worker who handles all the paperwork at the Restoration HQ, but before she joined that, she just had a small business museum in her hometown, the same town where Tangle's from, and the two are best friends. They grew up together in this town with Jewel looking after Tangle most of the time. Since her debut, she was absent in most of the major stories in IDW. Her first appearance was the 2019 annual one-shots when the Babylon rogues came to her museum and stole all of her collectibles. Jewel gets snatched too because she looks like a jewel herself. That's why her name is Jewel. Yeah, Sonic names. She was curled up in her little beetle position, which fooled Storm thinking it was an actual gem. Tangle Whisper ends up saving her and her whole collection, so everything worked out in the end. And next time we see her is the next annual, the 2021. That was a weird way to write that. The 2020 annual one-shots, focusing on different POVs of the Metal Virus saga. One story focuses on Jewel helping out some dumb little kids. She tries to save them from the Metal Virus, but the kids touch it.
You stupid!
And she touched the kids, and they're all done for because of the curious minds of kids. Don't hang around kids during an apocalypse, boys and girls. And yeah, this is how Tangle gets infected when she comes to check up on Jewel, and we already know what happens later on. After the Metal Virus arc was done, Jewel went to Amy to take her position as the new leader. Handling and organizing paperwork is her bread and butter, and she enjoys doing office work. That's why she took the leadership of the Restoration HQ. This gives Amy a chance to go out and be with Sonic and the others to do some actual hero shit, while Jewel continues being a side character. But after taking that role as the new boss, it seems that she's starting to miss hanging out with Tangle, as Tangle is mostly hanging out with Whisper now. She felt like she was just losing her best friend. Being the boss pretty much took all of her time away with the gang, so she feels some type of way about not being able to hang out as much. Sonic would be the one to convince Jewel to have a day off at the beach with Tangle and Whisper. He explains to Jewel that if you want to help save the world and do what she's doing right now, you gotta take some time off and, enjoy the life and hang out with your friends and such. You gotta be in it for the long haul, and Jewel realizes that, yeah, you have to take a break sometimes. You can't constantly work over and over without no breaks, or you'll just burn out. You'll be left out. So she uses this chance at the beach to enjoy herself with her friends. Throughout the whole day playing a bunch of games with the Babylon Rogues. They have their own little tournament stuff to determine who gets to stay, but both parties ended up staying anyways. The Babylon Rogues were the ones who lost, so they were supposed to leave, but obviously Sonic and the gang didn't let them leave because they don't have to. They can all just hang out, which they did. They all hang around in a campfire roasting some marshmallows. Jewel and Tangle finally talked through it during the beach trip, and they promised to hang out more, which revolves that little issue with Jewel. But things gets a bit interesting and now in the present day, when Jewel is visited by Clutch the opossum, and these two have not met yet, so she has no idea what he's actually planning, and we know he's up to something. And this is where we go into Clutch the Opossum. Rocking a big fur coat and a crane that is secretly a gun. He's very sneaky too, as he's able to snatch smoke bombs from Espio without him noticing. And Espio is a ninja. Swiping a ninja is like next level, isn't it? Or maybe Espio is a fraud, but I don't believe it. Espio is goated. localized within White Park in a nice penthouse where he says this was his retirement home. He is a big collector. He collects all types of junk, including Eggman tech from past battles. Chow racing is his next hobby, training elite chows to keep his championship title. However, we soon find out that he treats his chows like shit, locking them up in cages whenever they lose. It seems whenever he gets a chow, he keeps it until it loses, then puts the chow in jail and gets another one that is better. He even tried to trade Cream's chow, Cheese, when Cheese won and beat Clutch's shadow looking chow, but of course Cream wasn't gonna let that happen. Before this, Amy, Rouge, and Cream had a mission to get parts to fix up Omega, and Clutch has parts that Omega needed. So Rouge had a plan to make a fake trade with Cheese, knock out Clutch, take the parts they need, and peace out. But Shadow comes in and gives him the kick first. And we still don't know Rouge's actual plan, but I doubt it was that much different. Clutch managed to escape from the heroes, but he did lose his penthouse and lost some of his collection. And it's never been said how he managed to keep a bunch of his junk, but who cares. He found a warehouse somewhere in the city to continue his work hiring Rough and Tumble to help with any shipments and whatnot. Unfortunately for Clutch, the city was in chaos with power outages, and Chaotix was sent to investigate the problem, but instead of finding the source of the power outage, they wound up in Clutch's hideout. They tussled around and eventually decided to squash it since Clutch and his goons didn't have anything to do with the power outages, but they were not about to let them go. I don't know why, but Clutch decided to go on a monologue and explain his plans on tricking heroes right in front of the Chaotix, and Vector is like, oh yeah, bam! Destroys the floor and all of Clutch's stuff has washed away. They're on the dock side, so water was beneath them. The Chaotix were gonna take them in, but Clutch is a sneaky guy, like I said earlier, able to swipe SBO's smoke bombs, blast them, and runs away. But with all of his stuff's gone, he's gotta restart over and build back whatever he had before. Gather junk, make lots of money. This time, he wants to go beyond. He wants to take down the entire Restoration HQ. He takes over an abandoned Eggman base. At least I think it was an abandoned Eggman base. I don't know. I don't think it was ever said. Either way, his new gig is to publicly clean up the aftermath of any battles. But in secret, he will sell everything he finds to sell back to Eggman or anyone else who wants these weapons or the other junk he finds. Restoration does it too, but they do it for free, and he wants to be the only one doing the work, which is why he wants to take over and wipe them out of the competition. And we already know that the plan is going well. Mimic, Surge, and Kit are working from the inside, while Clutch himself does business with Jewel, forming a collaboration of some sort. Now thinking about it, it's kinda odd that Clutch was able to go into Restoration HQ without being recognized by anyone. It's surprising that the Chaotix never reached out to Jewel about Clutch's return and telling her to watch out for him. Amy was the only one who actually knew Clutch at the Restoration. Rouge is not there, Cream is not there, Shadow's not there, and obviously the Chaotix are not there, but again, they didn't inform Jewel or anyone else that Clutch is back when they fought him at the warehouse. Vector's just too busy trying to get some bunny poop. And this is it for Clutch, as he wasn't around a lot since he showed up, but with this current arc, it seems like he's finally gonna have his big moment in the spotlight. Mimic too, as both of them hasn't been in the spotlight for that much, but this one is shaping up to be their big moment in the series, and I can't wait to see how all of this plays out. Belle the Tinker, a robot built by Mr. Tinker, aka Dr. Eggman. When he lost his memory and became Mr. Tinker, he made Belle during this time, and she ended up being his little tinkering assistant robot. As we know, Dr. Starline kidnapped Mr. Tinker and brought Eggman back to his glory self and started his metal virus project. The metal virus would ruin the relationship of Belle and the townsfolk, as they think she's working with Eggman, but she would try to convince them that she's not, but of course, no one would take her side. She eventually couldn't take it anymore and runs away to look for Mr. Tinker. Sonic and Tails would find her hiding in one of Eggman's old base, and while it took a bit of time for Sonic to warm up to her, she ends up befriending the whole gang and joins the Restoration HQ. When they put her to help out this orangutan hippie guy in the machine workshop, we're quick to find out that she is pretty clumsy, especially when she's nervous. dropping stuff, catching on fire, and making really bad coffee. This dude had had enough and kicked her out. We also find out that Tangle is banned from the shop because you know how much trouble she can be when she's, you know, her usual chaotic self. Belle's goal was to find Mr. Tinker, but she knows that Mr. Tinker gained his memory back and continued his evil ways as Eggman, and she thought if she could go and talk to him, she could convince Eggman to come back as Mr. Tinker, and Belle would have a couple moments with Eggman, but was never able to get Mr. Tinker back. Of course, Eggman ain't doing that. He ain't about that life. The last encounter Belle had with Eggman was finally giving him a piece of her mind, letting him know that she's gonna move on and help out her friends. She also gets a proper goodbye from Mr. Tinker when she finds a letter in his motobug, a letter that he made when he was captured and probably moments before he regained his memory. It was hard for Belle to accept it, but she was able to move on, feeling like she got a final goodbye, a final proper goodbye from her creator. Not too much depth with her character, definitely interesting as she is a wooden robot built like a marionette, which everyone is quick to praise, such as Dr. Starline, who kidnapped her at one point to aid in his creation of Surgeon Kit. She likes to fix up leftover badniks because she hates the idea of Eggman leaving behind robots left to rot. Even went to fix up Metal Sonic at one point, and her reward was a bitch slap to the face. Just give it up, Belle. Eggman's gone. Your dad is gone. He's not your dad. Her arc is pretty much done as she just becomes a helper in the restoration, fixing up anything that needs fixing. It even seems like she's able to work with the orangutan hippie guy again, as she's not nervous anymore and is able to work proper. So far, fixing up Whisper's Wispin when Whisper fought Surge, and Surge breaking her Wispin. Too many Whisper and Wispin in that whole freaking second, and also that made me realize that Whisper's name is a play on word for Wisp. I just realized that. Whisper and Whisper because she whispers. God damn, Sonic names, bro. But for now, she's just becoming more of a side character like Jewel, just doing whatever whenever she's needed for plot, I guess. But it will be interesting to see how she reacts to Sage coming in as Eggman's new daughter. Whenever the comic catches up to Frontiers, Sage will be Eggman's new lackey alongside Metal Sonic. Makes you wonder if Belle would feel a certain way, feeling like she's been replaced. But I wouldn't be surprised if Belle would at least make another attempt to get Mr. Tinker back. There's an interesting plot somewhere when it comes to that with Sage and Belle, but we'll just have to see when that day comes. Then we have this sheep character, Lanolin, currently the newest character in the comics. Technically, she's not the newest, as she was shown multiple times throughout the whole IDW series as a background character. A background character that just kept showing up every now and then. Before she even got a name, many people had a weird feeling about her. She always looks so annoyed and done with most of the time. It's like she's plotting something or has some sort of grudge or with something or someone, I don't know. This shot of her is where the conversation really started because there was just no real reason for her to look this way. What is she thinking? Why does she look so dead inside? Questions we don't have answers for yet. She just shows up and now she's just taking on a more bigger role within the headquarters. Aiming to be a leader of sorts, commanding a high response team to protect and take the initiative against any threats she and her crew can detect. She first got Tangle and Whisper on board, and when they were asked on their team name, Tangle is quick to yell out, "Diamond Cutters!" Whisper does not like that because, you know, it represents her old team. 3 of them are dead. 1 is a traitor. But yeah, Wolf Girl ain't happy about that. Whisper does confront Tangle and ask her why her old team name, and Tangle gets all emotional, not realizing how Whisper felt about it. Lanolin thought they were disbanded after the war, but now she knows they were destroyed, killed off by the android shadows. In the end though, Whisper decided to just keep the name and not let her fears get in the way, all because of one guy. Man, it would really suck for Whisper if Lanolin really is a traitor. I don't think Whisper's mental health could handle it. Anyways, the trio got their feet up and is ready to finish their first mission together as the Diamond Cutters. Before this, they were with Sonic, but the Diamond Cutters got caught in a trap and are stuck in some weird, intangible limbo. Lanolin has a moment of doubt and regret, thinking she's not fit to be a leader. She only joined out of desperation. She hated how useless she felt in past wars, not being able to help others in need. But Lanolin doesn't know that you can't be doubting yourself in front of Tangle. You already know that girl Dunn gave her the positive boost this young sheep needs, and not too long after, she gets back into action. So fast forward over to this whole situation between Silver and Duo. Duo showing his true colors, Silver and Whisper quick to expose him, but things didn't go so well for them as Lanolin took Duo's side, assuming Silver is at fault. Silver saw his eye change, and Whisper actually seeing Mimic. Well, Duo kicks Silver, but Lanolin says, no proof, no case, Duo is safe. And the fan base hated Lanolin, and they hated how Whisper gave up on the idea that Duo is Mimic. She gets all depressive mode and she's ready to burst into tears as usual, but Tangle comforts her. Again, it would really suck for Whisper if Lanolin is actually an enemy preparing to betray them. But I think if they do go the betrayal route with Lanolin, it could be a character development for Whisper to handle a betrayal better than last time. Instead of running away and hiding during the betrayal, she would stand her ground and confront the betrayer as it's happening. Anyways, back to Lanolin. Her Wispin Bell, mainly used for the music whiz, which Lanolin calls it Maggie. I don't really know how it works fully. Like, it makes some sound waves, I guess, and it destroys nearby things and bandits or whatever. Also good for lighting up in the dark, as seen from this panel here. But Lanolin herself is a soldier like Whisper, so she's also pretty good in combat. But her main focus is just to be a proper leader and lead her teammates' command orders as the boss of the next generation of the Diamond Cutters. Despite surviving their first mission, they still have a lot of work to do when it comes to working together, which is why they had that whole training thing in Green Hill. And that's about it for Lanolin. Not much to say as she's not been in the story for that long. Of course, we're gonna get more of her in the next few issues with this whole Sonic Riders theme that they're doing. Her main arc is just gonna be her leadership being tested, especially once Duo reveals himself to everyone. It will definitely hit Lanolin hard as she was the one who didn't believe in her teammates, and she might even question her leadership again. So we'll have to see how she handles the situation when the time comes. So now we got all the major new characters out of the way, but there's still some side characters I like to go over too. So again, mentioning Whisper's old teammates, Smithy, Slinger, and Clairvoyance, who are dead. But it's nice to know in case any future name drops in the game or any other media comes by, and you already know they like to do their references nowadays, so it's a good to know. Next we have Elder Scruffy, the mayor of Windmill Village. They were the ones who found Eggman when he lost his memory, and then, you know, he became into Mr. Tinker. But as you know, Mr. Tinker got kidnapped and went back to being Eggman. And Eggman's first mission was to create the metal virus and test the whole virus onto the same village that took him in as Mr. Tinker. But after the metal virus saga has finished, we haven't seen Elder Scruffy since then. And who knows when we'll see him again. And I don't know if you would count Mr. Tinker as a new Sonic character, but I'll just mention him just in case. But yeah, Mr. Tinker was Eggman when he lost his memory. He was just Eggman, but good. And I mentioned before, but he was the one who created Belle during his Mr. Tinker persona, an advanced AI robot designed to be a tinkerer like himself. And we never really get to see them together in any of the panels, just the stories that they have told us. But considering Mr. Tinker has been gone for a long while now, I doubt we will get anything more from Mr. Tinker himself. Next we have Knight the Owl, radio host for Sunset City, and his partner Ron the Rooster, the custodian. Knight is more cheery and upbeat, while Ron is easily irritated and always seems miserable. When it's past his bedtime, that is. He's a rooster, so he likes to wake up early at the crack of dawn. Oh, dawn, I see now. Haha, Sonic name going at it again. Haha, I get it. We first seen them in the Metal Virus saga when the Metal Virus was going through the city, and many people were calling his radio hotline asking for help. Eventually, Knight and Ron stuck it out in the Radio Shack, broadcasting to the city where to go for safety, but it's shown that they weren't safe for too long as zombots were closing in. We don't see them get turned into zombots, but I think it's safe to assume they did get infected. We see them again when Vector and Espio were picking up Charmy from them, as it seems Night and Dawn were babysitting him. They had a bunch of calls coming from Central City about some power outages and other stuff, which led the Chaotix to go investigate. This was when Surge and Kit were the ones to cause trouble, but the Chaotix didn't find them, but found Clutch, Ruff, and Tumble instead. And that would be it for Night and Dawn. I kinda like their dynamic from the little bits we've seen from them, and we get to see more of them soon. I actually almost forgot about the Sonic fan club kids. There's about 7 of them. You have these 2 who are usually competing to be the president of this fan club, this dog and the red wolf girl. Then you have this green goat, this pink goat, I think they're goats, I don't know, this yellow pig, a lighter yellow mouse, I would like to think it's a mouse. And then you have this butterfly who actually looks familiar from a cartoon that I used to watch as a kid. I can't remember what they were called. It was like, there's like 3 of them, 3 mouses. She looks exactly like the girl from that cartoon, but I don't remember the name. Probably find it during my editing. They've only been in 3 one-shots, the 2019, 2020, and the 2022 one-shots. They never showed up in the main issues, as far as I'm aware. The first one was just the introduction to the Sonic fan club, showing who gets to be the president of the group. The second one was about the metal virus, on how the kids got Jewel infected. And the third one was just this hero camp course that the kids took along with Cream to learn how to be the best hero and stuff, which turned out to be a fake course made by Orbot and Cubot, which was really obvious from the beginning. And that's all the issues I could find from them. If I'm missing one, just let me know, because I can't remember if there's any other issues that they show up in. I doubt these kids will get any bigger roles in the series. They'll probably just stick to these annual one-shots or specials. They're just meant to just tell little silly stories on what kids do in the Sonic universe nowadays, and how they react to like big events like the Metal Virus saga. Hopefully they would return to these annual one-shots and show what these kids are up to today. This guy doesn't have a name, surprisingly, but he shows up multiple times in the series. He's the main guy in the Restoration HQ workshop to fix anything that needs fixing. At least I think that's what it is. He seems like a pretty chill dude, but obviously he don't like people messing up his flow during his work and just causing a mess like we seen with Belle. Even mentioning Tangle that she's not allowed in there because it's implied that, you know, she caused trouble before. The orangutan hippie guy does not mess around. Alright, this is the end of the video. I have now talked about all of the new characters in the IDW series, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching my almost hour-long video. If you liked the video, give a like. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Press the subscribe button, you know. Doing both will definitely help me a lot. Same with commenting down below who's your favorite new character, new IDW character. Let me know. Also comment below on how you like this video. I put a lot of time making this video, so I want to make sure, you know, I get some proper notes for the next video I make and, you know, improve upon there. Other than that, there's not much else to say. You know, I had a lot of fun making this video, rereading all the IDW comics and stuff. I feel like this series is still good. I know it's kind of getting a lot of hate more often nowadays, but I think overall IDW is still good. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I think the series is still fine. But let me know, do you think the IDW is still good? Do you still love it? Do you hate it? Let me know. I would like to know what your thoughts about the whole series and all of its characters. Like, I know the writing and stuff, people have a lot to say about the writing, especially with Sonic during that one panel when he was talking a lot to Surge and stuff and talking about his philosophies or whatever. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. I don't even want to even get into that. My job today was just to explain all of the new characters introduced in IDW, and that's what I did. At least I think I did properly. Another thing, let me know if there's some crucial details I missed. Like, did I miss a crucial detail for a certain character, or did I miss like any, I don't know, any arcs or whatever? Just let me know if there's some misinformation. Other than that, I don't want to make this outro too long, so I'm just gonna let the bloopers play it out and end the video. But thanks again for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and comment down below. So literally almost a whole, well, it was actually a whole decade of meta humor comedy. was it 2010 to 2017 to 2019? Yeah, that's about meta humor, decade long. Sounds about right. Yeah, pretty much a whole decade after. Whoa, what a crack. Not too much depth with her character. Definitely is. Let's see this freaking word. Such as Dr. Starline, who also can't say that word. The Diamond Cutters caught in the trap. The Diamond Gutters, wow. That was her motivation to join the Resistance, but Lanolin doesn't know. But Lanolin, fucking hate saying her name, Lanolin. But Lanolin, oh my gosh, but Lanolin doesn't know